The last song we have is a song about another musician here in town, believe it or not. A guy by the name of Yank Rachell. Some folks might know him. Some people called him Yank Rachell. He was out of Brownsville, Tennessee, but he moved up here in the 1950s and was, quite the patriarch of our local music scene. He had a lot of friends around Indianapolis. And he was a mandolin player, but he also played guitar and harmonica. But as the more time went on and the more folks around town got to know him, we realized that he had quite a dynamic recording career prior to World War II. And he recorded all the way back into 1929 with a pretty, again, a very popular song now called Divin' Duck Blues that him and his buddy Sleepy John Estes recorded for Victor Records back in 1929. Still a very popular song amongst blues musicians. A lot of people play that song, and a lot of bluegrass players play it as well. And so, like I said, Yank moved here to Indy and was very strong family man. He loved his family and always made sure that he spent a lot of time and a lot of energy, taking care of his family, and had a lot of friends around Indianapolis. Back about late 70s, like 79 or 1980, there was a movie came out called The Blues Brothers. And at the opening of the Blues Brothers movie, I think it was the character's name was Elwood, who had just been released from prison. He's standing there waiting on his ride to get out of prison. And the song that they're playing in the soundtrack is Taj Mahal doing a song called She Caught the Katy, which was a song that Yank Rachell wrote with Taj Mahal some years before that. And so Yank started getting recognition and started to get some royalty money from a very successful soundtrack album from that movie, and became pretty well known and is now currently, he died in 1997, but is currently a very popular, well-known blues musician all over the world. A lot of people know Yank, and he has disciples and friends all over planet Earth. And again, the day that he died, 1997, I think it was March, another good friend of mine, Mr. Pat Webb, who was an excellent singer-songwriter around Indianapolis here, called me and told me, like they used to back in the old days, you'd have to call, get your phone book out. Whenever somebody died, you had to call around and tell everybody that person was deceased. So Pat called me that morning, and I wrote this song here later that day about everybody's buddy Yank Rachell. And Yank had his own song called the Yank Rachell Blues, so I call this one the new Yank Rachell Blues, and we're going to play it for you right now. 2, 3. Well, it all started out when Yank was just a little kid. Well, it all started out when Yank was just a little kid. Well, this man down the road traded a mandolin for his pig. Well, he played around Brownsville with blind man Sleepy John. He played the jug bands in Memphis with jabbing old Sleepy John. Well, he made his own records and he played on Sonny Boy One. Plays a solo, Mike Clark. Oh yeah. Well, he moved up north, he was living in Old Nap Town. Well, he moved up north, he was living in Old Nap Town. The blues man's a family man, it's time for him to settle down. And then along came John and Hammy Nixon too. And then along came John and Hammy Nixon too. Well, they toured all over Europe, playing good old country blues. Let's play some country blues for him now. Well, when Taj caught the Katy, so did them TV stars. When the brothers caught the Katy on the way to being movie stars. Well, Yank kept on playing in them local bars. Well, I remember Pat called me and he told me that Yank had died. Well, when Pat Webb called me, he told me Yank Rachell had died. Well, I hung up my phone and I hung down my head and I cried. And then I picked up my mandolin and I began to play. Well, I picked up my mandolin and I began to play. Well, my very best version of Yank's old tapping that thing. Here we go. Well, I've been to New York, I've been to New Orleans to hear Yank Rachell play his mandolin. Well, I'm tapping that thing. Great God Almighty, I'm tapping that thing. Great God Almighty, every morning at 8, you hear me tapping that thing. Take it on home now. Great God Almighty. Great God Almighty. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks to Yank Rachell, too.
Woo!